All right, so I'm going to be building this awesome round patio table. Now it could also be octagon, more on that a little bit later, but I'm going to take you on the journey with me. All right, so all our pieces are rough cut to length, so we can start building this table. First off, let's go take a look at these schematics. Now, the schematics over here, they are available on my Patreon page. If you want to go check them out, go for it. Now, what we're going to key on here is going to be the top cross section and the base. They're basically the same pieces. They have the same half lap, the same mortises. So they're going to be nice and easy for us to set up at the same time. The only difference is that the top cross member has those half laps on your end. So let's go. Boy, oh boy, mistakes were made while I was doing the mortises. One of them was just because I just didn't stay sharp and I didn't realize that I was doing the mortises on the wrong side of the board. That kind of stuff does happen from time to time. Hate it when it happens, you know, hate it completely. Probably the reason why 4-letter words came out of my mouth, possibly 5-letter words came out, maybe a 7. Possibly in French, religious in stature. But I'll ask for forgiveness for that later on. But rest assured, none of them were sexist, so I'm good on that front. Yeah. So the first one, I just did the holes on the wrong side of the board. You know, that's a complete lack of me understanding what I was doing, I guess. And the other one is completely unacceptable. It's something I did wrong. Maybe you guys spotted it, maybe you didn't. But let me know in the descriptions below and I'll let you guys know exactly what happened at the end of the video. Moving on, we are building the outside circumference of the table over here. And for that, I'm going to be using my brand new jig that I did in my last video. A link in the description, I guess, if you want to know how I built it. And yeah, let's start building. So for some reason on octagon tables in general, it's very hard to make all of the corners fit perfectly. There's always a little bit of difference. And when we're doing a table like this, everything's kind of natural. Everything is, you know, it's not perfectly straight. It's not like a piece of iron or anything like that. So to get a perfect octagon, I guess it's possible, but it's very hard to achieve. It's kind of like drawing a perfect circle without any tools. It's very difficult to do. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to glue everything up, and then we'll customize the outside pieces over here to match what we need to do. The inside pieces I think are going to be fine. The lats that we're going to be putting in here, I think it's going to go pretty smoothly. It's mostly these end pieces that we need to worry about. After the center is going to set, what I'm going to do, I'm going to drill a hole right up in the middle. And what that's going to do is going to give us a place for us to do the radius for the round table. We'll see that a little bit later when we get there. And also put the hole for an umbrella that I don't know if we're going to use or not, but the hole is a good idea to have just in case. Other than that, I think we are ready to start going with this project to the next level. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, so all I'm doing right now is just marking each one of these end pieces that goes around the corner. And what I'll do is I'll cut one of these to length, and I'll show you guys just the slight differences that each one of these is going to have, because that's what I think is going to happen. And yeah, so I'll do that, and I'll show you that in a bit. Let's do this one. All right, so this piece of wood over here fit perfectly, like right over there. And this is kind of normal for octagons. It's hard to get everything perfectly perfect. It's just difficult to do that when you're doing woodworking, especially with something that breathes around. And this table only sat around overnight. So this gap could have been a mistake that I did anywhere on this table. Maybe I cut a piece, 30 seconds too big, or maybe a half lap might have been a little bit off canter. And I mean like just a little bit. Something that I probably wouldn't be able to see with my instruments. So I'm not that concerned. I knew this was going to happen. I knew that I'm going to have to customize the piece that's going to go in between here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And we'll meet up when it's time to do the glue up, I guess. All right, so what I'm doing right now is just sanding the bottom side of this table flat. What I'll do, since nobody wants to see me sanding, is I'll show you a time lapse of me putting on these lats, and I'll see in about 30 seconds the sanding's gonna be done. All right, everybody likes sexy legs, and right now I'm working on the profile for legs for this table over here. So I'm just gonna go right in there in these Morrises. So what I came up with is a 1/2 inch core box bit. It could be a bull nose or a round nose bit with a round over, which is a 5/8 round over on the outside. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut these. I'll see you on the other side. All right, so we're on to the final glue up. One thing we got to be cognitive about is that this table over here, if it's permanently attached to each other, won't be able to fit through a normal doorway. So what we did, instead of gluing up the legs to the tabletop, we just cut little chamfers in the legs so it makes it easier for it to go into it. And we're gonna put L brackets on there, you know, to make it so that when you lift, the legs come with it. The places that we did glue is for the legs themselves to be glued onto the feet. So the feet and the legs are permanently attached to each other, but not to the tabletop. We also didn't put any glue for the half lap that goes in the middle, again, just so it comes apart so it can fit through a doorway easier. And yeah, I guess the next time we see each other, we're going to see this table the right side up. Get excited. See you then. Way back at the start of the video, I told you this was going to be a round table, or an octagon, sort of. Well, right now, we have an octagon table, and we want it to be circle. So what I have here is a circle jig. All it is a piece of scrap plywood that I bolted on my router to it. Now I have holes at different radiuses that I want to have in order to, you know, make the different size tables I want to make. For this one, our diameter is going to be at 57 inches wide, so our hole is going to be at 28.5 inches. So what I'm going to do is the very first pass is going to be super light. All that's going to do is going to mark exactly where the router is going to be passing. And after that, I will just cut the excess off with my jigsaw. And then we're going to start taking it down about 1/4 of an inch at a time. So it's going to be a couple of turns. Well, we have a round table. It's a little bit dusty, you know, might need a little bit of sanding here and there, but the table's done, so I guess this is where our journey ends with this thing. I did promise you guys I was going to tell you about what happened with this mortise. So here it is. I think I went a little bit too fast, you know, a little bit too deep, and started vibrating. I guess that's what she said. Anyways, if your router makes some weird noises or it starts vibrating, stop what you're doing, check it, because this is probably the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, your bit breaks, goes flying, or your collet on your router breaks, it goes flying. The shaft of your router can probably break and go flying. So a lot of things can go wrong with a router, especially when it starts vibrating like that. Other than that, my next project is likely going to be a bench or a coffee table, so stay tuned for that. You know, just subscribe, like, comment, all that kind of jazz, and I'll see you next time. See ya.